And welcome back, everybody. This is Old Bob 10025 with the 8th edition of the First Circuit podcast. At first, we have Old Bob, where I used to run away from dinos when I was young. Then we end. That's my voice, guys. So Biter, go ahead and say hey.
Say hey, I am Biter. Blarg.
There goes Biter, where give him a stick and he can kill anything on the field of battle. Next up, we have Larsh, the casual MechWarrior. Go say hey, Larsh.
Hey everyone, this is Larsh. I am your casual MechWarrior, where I don't play to be good.
I don't either, actually, to tell you the truth. I don't want to play. And next we have Team Red Shirt, where every planet he goes to, he loses one person. Say hello, Team Red Shirt.
Hello, Team Red Shirt.
Okay,
hi, guys. How you doing?
That was my line. That's what I did.
Yeah, but it didn't come across right, so I figured I'd steal it.
You didn't give me such a good start.
Anyway, guys, so I think we're all back, a little bit wiser, maybe from last week.
Wiser, are you kidding?
Older.
Dude,
I'm actually backtracking on Wise with age. I don't know about you.
You're going the wrong way. So anyway, for tonight, let's just jump right into this. So
New patch.
New patch came out on Tuesday.
Yay!
Yeah, so in the new patch, we got something pretty cool. We got that new event system going on. This has been like ballistic events 24/7 here. I don't know how I feel about it.
It's an Orc DACA event.
DACA, yes.
And funnily enough, at least when they initially implemented it, of course, there was a little wait until the thing was implemented, and you could see them changing all the names of the things. So initially it was just a whole bunch of random names and numbers all over the place, and it's like, oh look, we get a target 1 decal 50 times if we do machine gun and light machine gun thing.
Yeah, they were doing hot patches basically during the game.
Yep,
As I was there doing drops, and my game was lagging like a mother, and I was like, what the hell's going on here?
Oh yeah,
because they were doing hot fixes during like us doing drops.
Yeah, but I think at least particularly with the other event they've done with the Clan 2 Sea Heroes, they've learnt to not publish before they've actually done all the details.
Well, they publish like 12 hours beforehand, too. It's like, okay, we gotta get everything out right now, 12 hours before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a big thing, or at least it's been quite a fun few nights, at least with all ballistics all over the place.
It's been crazy.
The event has been rewarding players for doing damage with every single caliber for each type of weapon. So the rewards are for if you do enough damage with for example, the AC2, the AC5, the AC10, and the AC20.
Yeah, and I think Bob said it right was that it's not really been interesting, it's been crazy.
It's been hard crazy.
I've seen so many Spud mechs or Spud matches due to this thing. I mean, I'm cool with seeing different and unique builds. How my channel's built off of that, but holy shit. The things you're seeing now are just off the rails stupid.
I mean, I've not been building mechs for meta or for how this relates with this other type of weapon system. Okay, pop AC-20, let's go! Let's get in there and fight! That's basically what's been happening.
It's been a mixed bag, at least in some ways, because everyone's playing like potatoes. You can have really funny matches. But there's also, everyone's playing like potatoes, and there's so much salt. There's so much salt everywhere.
Oh god!
But
so many people get in front of my stream of a rack 2 or rack 5 rounds. I'm like, next person does this, I'm gonna have to shoot them back.
There's something about what autocannons do to people when they get shot by them. They just,
it's
scary.
I don't know if it's and the cockpit shake and everything. People just get stressed out when there's autocannons everywhere. I remember that stage of the meta when it was like just ultra ACs all day.
Well, like one game I ran across the field of battle, and literally I had 3 rack 5 cannons against me, or 3 mechs with rack 5s. I just ran. I made it through the whole field. I'm like, this didn't do much. So like people freak out over the rack 5s, but if they have a concentrated stream against you, it's going to do a lot of damage. But just run past them. You're like, okay, whatever.
Yep. I mean, it's the funny thing, at least. It's not just the psychology of when you're being hit, but it's also the psychology of people trying to use the ballistics. It's sort of what I've been saying to people is you have to understand that currently a lot of people are tunnel visioning because ballistics have a very long range, so people try and go to a nice spot and then lock down a line of sight. Or if, there's a mech over there, I'll wait until he pokes again. And that's all fine and dandy, but they don't look at the damn mini-map. They don't move! They all lump up together into a giant bag of potatoes.
Yeah.
And
the
get
situational awareness.
Hey, those Idaho potatoes are excellent, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's the way at least to get around it is sort of to realize if someone's getting shot at and they've been spotted, then you could be pretty sure that there's a fair number of ballistic guns pointed in that direction. So all you have to do is just go somewhere else, and they won't even look at you. They won't even bother turning around as you smash them in the butt or in the side, because that guy over there, he might poke out again.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's all ballistics. It's not just autocannons, but machine guns. So there's all these lights running around with machine guns, and sometimes they run into the cones of fire. They run into the where people are staring at, and they get demolished fairly quickly. But otherwise, they could be in the middle with the whole enemy team machine gunning, a direwolf in the butt. And even though he's locked on, no one will bother shooting him because they're too busy trading with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing as well. It's not just locking down lines of sight. It's the fact that ballistics require their damage over time guns. If you got just the classic is sort of like an AC5, it's 1.6 seconds until you shoot again, so there is a fairly large gap. But you don't want to look away either because
it's not enough time to twist and roll.
Exactly.
It depends on the mech. I mean, if you're doing like a medium mech and maybe like an AC10, you can maybe twist away, but that's like the only thing you're gonna have on you.
Well, and part of that with the medium is that you're going to be moving anyway, so you're having to. You may not necessarily want to because you got to take that extra little split second to make sure your shot lands where you want it.
Now, at least for me, it's if it's a big ballistic and I'm firing at a fair distance, I sort of watch the shot fly because then I can aim the next shot better. I use it to train my shots on target. If I'm twisting away, I'm just firing random shots all over the place.
Oh, that was the best part about AC20s before they kind of cut down the distance, damage, time, distance, whatever you want to say, how much over max range it loses. You used to be able to, and it just you used to be able to reach out and touch somebody from the other side of the map with that thing if you had the arc right.
Well, the Ultra AC2s, like I've been knocking those out. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. I do a point of damage, big deal. I still do a point of damage. Like whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm whacking you for hell of damage now.
2.5 kilometers away.
Exactly.
Fill your assault with them.
I think it's an interesting event. I think it's so much salt has been farmed by PGI. It is beautiful, and I think people also don't necessarily blame them for it. It's just the players out to so many people are so unused to having to use all these odd ballistic weapons.
We need to have events like this, like back to back to back, so when the game goes back to normal, people are less salty.
I mean, I rarely use Gauss rifles myself, and this has forced me to use a Gauss rifle. I mean, this is interesting. It's a cool event.
When you get them down, man, when you get used to how they fire, they are pretty damn good. It's just it was such a change in how I used them when they brought the charge thing on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I think right now, one other large point with this event is that it's no longer just a weekend event. This one lasts a good 5 days or more now.
Yeah.
Which really, which is good because that now it allows people who can't be on every day to get in on this.
But not everybody works Monday to Friday with weekends off.
I think also the way they do the events now, at least the two things they've done now, all three events basically is you have to actually do several different weapons because before with the when it was on the site. Basically, every single challenge, like do 10 assists, they would do a reward for.
Yeah.
Whereas now, for like the new heroes, it's do 20 assists, 10 kills, a KMDD, and a solo kill, and 5,000 damage. Like, that's just the same with the ballistics. They want you to now they can do like you could check off 5 different boxes, and you can do that a lot more reasonably because of course the thing is updated after every single match you've played finishes.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to actually get into the event yet,
Because
unfortunately.
of course,
But how is that new interface working? Is it
Oh, it's
what we
beautiful.
hoped it would be?
I mean,
very
I'm
nice.
highly impressed
Yeah.
with it, though, to tell you the truth, because now, just say like Tina wants to jump on and say, I want to do an event for a day and have it where they got to run around circles, like whatever, basically.
Yeah.
She could jump on, boom, type in some information, and then pops right up, and everyone can go do it for like a day, or whatever they want to do. And also for faction warfare, this can make it so different, say like Lau versus Davion, they can go fight and kill each other now. This is great. I mean, it's a great system, and it's automatic. As soon as I get off the game, I look at my event saying, cool, all I gotta do is 3 more points of damage. I jump on, do 3 more points, get off. I don't have to wait an hour.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the quality of life is much greater for players and the developers as well, because players get instant gratification. They can see how much progress they've done, particularly with something like ballistic weapon damage. Is something every single game, as long as you've done some damage, you probably progressed a little bit, which feels nice.
Yeah.
The only sort of thing that people would point out as a downside is just that UI is not the most pretty.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but it's way better than what it was, which was nothing.
Yes.
Wait an hour,
Wait an hour, and then,
But they should actually, like, I've been pressing Russ to go and have it on the website and then also here. So, like, I could just jump on and see, I'm really not going to play MechWarrior this weekend because I don't care for the event. I want to see what the, not just like, go to the game and here's the event. I want to see it on the website as well. Just, just a basic saying, if you kill 4 mechs, you get this type of thing. Not like any updates or anything. I don't care about that. I just want to see what the event is.
Yeah. I think, at least personally, I'm really a big fan of at least this ballistic event they've done because, on the individual side, you're throwing together lots of weird builds, trying to get a certain amount of damage with X weapons.
Oh, yeah.
And like for me, at least, I would often just throw on a AC2 or UAC2 or LBX2 onto whatever else I'm working on.
Yeah.
Because you could do them in one match, just incidentally picking at people.
Well, also this opens up the laser event, and then also the missile event. These are coming.
God.
These are
they're
coming, man.
they're coming in.
Do 1,000 points with LRM5, you can speed Lermageddon again. But the whole thing is, it's gonna. There's so much they can do with this thing now that it opens up possibilities, which is good for PGI. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck, man.
It would be great during their missile event if like at the very bottom, like imagine it was like SRM, MERM, LERM, very very bottom, shoot down
Streak.
missiles with AMS.
Oh yeah.
For so
I love
many
that
points.
Yeah, you got to include the AMS thing when
Yeah.
everyone's doing missiles, just for the ultimate troll.
And
Because
then,
that's what people are going to take anyway. You might as well reward them, kind of.
and then disclaimer at the bottom saying, please don't have a lot of salt for people who use LRMs.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting.
AMS.
Like that would be quite an interesting one how it plays out because oh god, the LRM. You're encouraging them. People take LRM boats anyway.
Yeah, I know.
But people get super salty when people do bring LERM boats, and now it's going to force them to do it, and people are going to be so upset. But it's whatever.
I just look forward to it.
Yeah,
I look
same.
forward to
Oh,
those
yeah.
days when I
cannot
can
wait.
just jump in my LRM mech and not be the only one.
Yeah.
I love LRMs. I'm Davian to the core. I bring LRMs everywhere if I can make them work. Any chassis, anything that has missile slots, I've tried LRM.
Oh god. Just pack narc. Just pack narc during.
That's what I do. I do Narc and
Yeah.
everything. He does LRM and everything.
Yeah.
But more, I guess, on that
But
regard.
just imagine now, Biter. You go in with like your one narc mech. All of a sudden, everyone has.
You have
freaking
hell of
LRM.
seagulls coming in.
Yes. I should do my weird Huntsman Narc tag LRM streak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
like
yeah,
the AC5 on that
it'll
too.
be interesting to see how, of course, things change out if you force people to do missiles or
Oh,
energy.
yeah,
The thing with
yeah.
ballistics is at least all of them sort of function basically the same, or at least you can always just reach out and touch people to like 500 meters.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, at least 10 and up, is always you can actually hold a long range of fire, and all of them it's a kind of random shots flying all over the place, making it hard to peg lights or opponents who move around here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of just sort of like playing the game, it's quite interesting. At least not everyone's trying hard. They're just you'll see. We saw what was it just the earlier me and Lars dropped, and there was a single UAC 10 night cheer.
Oh god.
Now, either he felt he really needed a lot of ammo, or he needed 10 damage, and he didn't give a damn, and he charged our line, and I think he didn't give a damn.
Wow. Basically, when you have events, so gameplay changes no matter what. People do different things.
Yeah, I always laugh when I'm seeing these clan mechs having to take out the regular ACs. And they fire once at you, and then they just stare in disbelief. What's going on?
They don't know how to use them.
It's always been UX.
Yeah. So you just charge them down and bully them, and it's hilarious.
Anyway,
some people have mentioned, at least, this is hopefully giving the people in PGI responsible for game balance a good view at seeing how effective all these ballistics are when people actually sort of have to play them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm totally hoping in some regards, like the poor clans, they had to do twice the amount of damage with regular ACs compared to any other caliber.
Is that true?
Brutal.
Yeah. So basically, I think the logic of PGI is that the ACs are sort of the least exceptional of all the ballistics, but we'll give the Rocket Girl standing cockpit item, which a lot of people were interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So they made the requirement for that higher, but it's also not the most OP, quote unquote, weapon category. If you
I
gave
might
that
actually
to
do
UAC. Yeah. So normally for an AC2 or a UAC2 or LB2, you have to do, well, sorry, not AC2, you have to do 50 damage. But 100 damage instead for an AC2.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but when you get to something like an AC20, normally you have to do 1,000 damage. Yeah, it's 2,000 damage that those clammers have to go through.
Which, speaking of the actual event...
Clan release button! Sorry.
Oh, what do we think of the actual, rewards of these? Because I have not done any of these yet. I completely forgot about the Rocket Girl, which after the stream I'm going to be building ACQs just to get that one item. That's all I care to get out of everything.
Well, I think they're okay, to tell you the truth, the rewards, but I think they're just kind of like a test. Okay, cool, let's try this. Right now I just think PGI is just testing it out to kind of just get it out there. All the rest of them, they'll start getting more keys and caches and what. But these are this is just a test for right now to get the system out.
Like basically every single one of these gives 500,000 C-bills, which sometimes for what some weapon categories
talk about that.
Is totally not worth it because particularly like clan regular ACs, those are the most expensive weapons for some reason.
Yeah.
You should at least get the cost back of buying something that if you need to buy it. You know what I mean? You can't even replace the UAC 20 that you bought if you didn't have one.
If you do have a tournament pack though, you get double.
We haven't talked about that, but that's a good point.
Yeah. And otherwise, the big thick draw is sort of cockpit items. In my personal opinion, typically, most people are going to be drawn to the Rocket Girl for the regular ACs and the Warhorn for the UACs. You either get the
I want to hear that.
Oh, the worksite stereo.
Yeah.
Roughneck Warhorn for the Inner Sphere and the Kodiak one for the clams.
Yeah, that's probably what
Pressure Cooker is still my favorite. Just that air raid wine thing they have.
Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah. For a fair number of people, I do like teasing them a bit, saying, you're really in the red doing this whole event. You're spending millions just doing the Clan AC challenge, and from that, you may recuperate it if you do all the others.
But I think this is just a placeholder for right now until they can figure out what they want to do, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and at least if they ever do it again, a lot of people bought all these weapons or whatever.
Yeah.
But if they do stuff like that again, it's like,
they really need to.
Yeah.
Edit this thing. That's hilarious. The Inner Sphere LBX has no spaces after the damage, so it's an autocannon 10,500 or 10,500. I want one.
And the way they name
that's a warship autocannon.
I wish they just in the text they call them by their full names, or it's the walls of text in the way they've written it.
Yeah.
Why not just write AC 10, LBX 10, rather than autocannon? Was it LBX?
I think
10?
everyone knows it's an autocannon.
Yeah.
It should be like LBX2 damage, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just keep it short and simple. Instead,
it's an event for people who play the game. That's what I don't get about that. It's an event for people who play the game, so they're going to understand acronyms. They're going to understand what weapons are called. So why would you even? It's not like you're going to show this to someone who's never played the game and say, "Hey, you should come play now," because
you can use a UX
there's no way
too.
a new person does this, right?
Well, in the Mech Lab, right, they're called LBX2.
Yeah.
They're not called LB
X autocannon 2. Yeah.
Yeah, LBX.
Yeah, that's a good point.
X space AC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a habit they have with the events and patch notes and things. And they just have to write you an essay. They love essays.
No, like
it's almost like.
Go ahead, man.
I was just going to say what it is they have some type A guy who runs their website who just wants everything to be exactly perfect when he writes it out.
Now, like if you're actually having problems getting your autocannons, you should sell. Like I have 79 medium lasers. Maybe we should sell some of those and get some ballistics if you're having problems getting money. To tell you the truth, to go pay for the LBX 20, which is 1.2 million. Yeah. I mean 79. Yeah, I have 43 medium pulse lasers. I don't need that many.
I've been going through selling mine because I took a hit on the skill tree, and I had way more mechs than I did mastered mechs. So I had to put some of my skill points into that, and then use some of my money anyway. So I got downhill by the time the new tech came out. So I was buying light engines, and I'm broke. I'm broke.
I mean, the funny thing is, at least this won't be so much trouble with missiles and energy, because ballistics are always the most expensive weapons to initially buy. And
MRMs
there's so many. Yeah, true, I guess, and they're new. But usually, at least, I have a fair number of medium lasers in the garage. I have a lot of this small, large, ER large. All of those actually have a place. Whereas with ballistics, they have so many different categories, and there's a lot of overlap. So, a lot of people haven't bought Inner Sphere LBX2s because they're as big as heavy VPCs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So here's the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there one mech for the Inner Sphere and one mech for the clans that you could conceivably do this challenge and any future challenges coming in?
Locust!
If someone wanted to approach it from that perspective.
I don't know.
Well, it depends what you mean by the future challenges.
Well,
right?
assuming a laser challenge and a missile challenge. That's what I mean, future
the next
challenges.
thing is also like how reasonable it is to even go out in that mech, because it might have like a couple ballistics, maybe one on the side torso, but it's like you can't doing the machine gun things right now wouldn't be a great idea with that thing.
No, well, most people have like a stable about maybe like 20 to 30 mechs, like on average, and then the wackos like me have like 158. Basically, or even
the same
more.
Number.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, like you're able, with these challenges, you're able to actually switch between either clan or like Inner Sphere mechs, depending if you're like, I'm on the Inner Sphere or like I'm only clan. So like you're able to go ahead and figure out which mechs you can use for different like events.
But incidentally, on that note, though, I do really like what they did with. First, we've got to do a ballistic thing, and everyone might have to buy a lot of ballistics, but they might not even have ballistic mechs. Like, as we said, that some people might not have a very large stable, but they put ballistic mechs, all of them, on sale.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
That's a good marketing scheme right there. Mm-hmm. That is really good. And basically, people go, "Oh, okay, I'll get the Roughneck 1A because that has a bunch of ballistics things, so that's on there for half off." That's excellent. I'm very happy they're doing this.
And actually, and then also in the chat, guys, we got some people saying 2 mechs. Aethermech says the gridiron. And then Fluffy Bunny Man says a Marauder 2C.
That's a great,
Marauder
you
2C
could
is
even
good,
make some fun stuff with machine guns just because you can put a couple on there and go pulse laser and all the armor and just rattle away with machine guns all day.
Or
I like
normal
the idea if there's
Marauders.
I like the idea if there's an SRM challenge. You go out of the gridiron, one SRM 6, maybe with Artemis.
Yeah.
That's you could do the challenge, certainly. I just don't think
it wouldn't be feasible.
Yeah, that's a little more. It's a little more tight than I expected it to
but
be.
like we said, though, like every event brings different game styles and game play, and normally, basically, you wouldn't do this kind of stuff normally. No. But since it's an event, I'll strap on the AC-20. Let's go. Okay, strap on the LBX 20. Let's go.
And also, I don't own one yet, but I kind of want to buy one. The Bushwhacker.
Oh God, you kidding?
I don't
You
have one either. Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, I didn't buy a Bushwhacker pack.
I didn't like them in
Dude.
MechWarrior 4.
Really?
I don't like them either,
Oh.
MechWarrior 4, but the thing is, MechWarrior 5, they are tanky
Well,
as
you
shit.
You
Are
can
they?
load. You can load so much shit into these things, and for future events, I think this could be a contender.
I mean, like the
a
like
big
Bushwhacker. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. So go ahead. You finish the Bushwhacker story.
Well, the Bushwhacker
yeah.
X2, I pop in 2 AC10s like in there, and I literally got it in one game. This thing is just freaking tanky as crazy, man.
Yeah, because you can
Yeah,
put, like,
wow.
you can put it in the arms there. Is that what it is?
And actually, like in the right and left torsos, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
really,
all of
really
them
nice.
have them in the torsos, one in each, in the torsos at least.
Yeah,
And it
I
has-
might need to buy a Bushwhacker after
Dude,
this.
I'm telling you, get it, man. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I was going to say, at least for clan, I was thinking actually, well, yeah, the Marauder 2C, the Scorch, the
Yep.
Boiler
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
the Supernova, and maybe there isn't there Mad Cat 2Cs with all those hard points.
To explain
And
what I was thinking.
ironically, just on all three of those, they're all behind paywalls.
Yeah. That was part of the reason I asked, is with the thought in mind that Bob and I are abnormal human beings who spent way too much on MechWarrior and have all the mechs, and I can look at my thing. I can go into my mech lab and go, it's Ultra 20 time. Let's throw that on there. It's this time. Let's throw that on there because I got them. But
Yeah,
people don't have them. And if someone was going to say invest, look at it. I'm looking at a new mech now. Say I want to future-proof a little bit. I want to get something that I can help as a newer player build up my account a bit, so I can get the stuff I want and get the mechs I want. I was just wondering if.
I mean,
Well,
a
yeah.
mech's also just for C-bills on the clan side. I think what Highlander and Orion often have a mix of all three.
Yeah, and
Sure.
they're great mechs.
They're pretty good, yeah.
Well, also too, you could go with any of the hero mechs for the plus 30% C-bill boost. Any type of boost, you can get for C-bills or XP is really good. Like in the normal sense. So if you're ever going to do something, you have the chance, buy those first. If you can't, figure out which one, like for the Sphere of the Vindicator. It's hard to run, but once you actually know how to run this thing, it is a massive, really cool
love
to
the
use.
Vindicator.
Yeah, it's a nice
Vindicator
deal.
1X for hilarious. Can do a lot of weapons.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, actually.
But the one AA, man, I've been rocking that
Wolverines
thing.
do it too.
Yeah, Wolverine's a really good mech too, and the loyalty,
And-
like Wolverine, holy shit.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, the Loyalty Wolverine. Yeah.
I haven't.
My favorites.
Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to play around with them in the clan or the new tech. I keep wanting to call it clan tech for some reason.
No, don't call it clan.
My brain is not working today. But in the Civil War tech, but BrioS did a video that looked pretty fun. I have to say.
Alright.
We need to get him in here.
I asked him. I actually asked him, and he said it's just so his schedule is so
Yeah.
weird that it would
plus
be
he's in
difficult.
Philippines too.
I did say that I would be willing to adjust our time if he wanted to come on,
I have no
and
problem
so
with
that would be. I didn't think you guys would either, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to
BrioS is
speak
a
for
member.
you.
It's just the time wise.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, I think we've talked a bunch about the event. Should we start
Okay.
moving on to something different here?
Sure.
Like how they
You had
tweak the
something you wanted
frickin'
to say-
merms?
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Yeah, merms. Sorry, I'm all
Merms.
hyped about the merm.
Do it.
All about
Do
it's
it.
all about them.
That
About
Griffin
All
looked a
about
lot of
them
fun.
Merm, dude.
It's funny, they've done so many changes to various weapons, but of course, everyone's just running around with ballistics right now. Though there
Yeah.
are fair few mechs running around with MRMs here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
What did they actually officially do? Because I'll cop to playing more Arc than reading patch notes.
Okay, basically they raised the range. I believe it's like 100 for max range. Now it's
Okay.
550 minimum, and then also the speed they range and they upped it by I think 40, right?
About 50
please.
extra velocity or so.
Okay, 50 extra. So I mean, I'm literally, man, it made the MRMs 100 times better now.
Yeah,
I believe it.
and-
The biggest thing is at
And-
least just the velocity, because
Yes.
They
they were
needed it.
so slow, they were so
Yeah.
lethargic at most ranges that it took them a while to even hit people at close range.
And
I
then
didn't
also-
actually realize how slow they were because I was putting MRMs on all of my splat mechs to try it out because I already had missile quirks. And with SRMs, I take all the velocity I can because I just want my shots to get there. Right. And so I wasn't noticing as much of a difference because I had, and then I got into a vanilla one with no. I was like, what is wrong with these MRMs? They don't fire at all.
they were very slow when they first started out, but now, I mean, because I'm looking at mine right now, and this thing, even with a full skill treated missile, like the actual speed of these is 475 plus extra.
Yeah.
And you can really get some good back shots if with me, I pop them on a medium. I'm fast enough. I can get behind someone real quick and just unload everything.
Like, in my opinion, at least, the MRMs before were okay. Like, at least they were very nicely balanced, but they didn't feel exceptional. And just giving this extra little bit of speed turns a weapon system that, is actually pretty neat into something that people really feel happy firing. Because it was that lethargic speed that sort of made you feel... It just feels awful firing a volley and missing the majority of the shots.
Yeah. I mean,
now
it gives
just that slight little bit more of agency with an already good weapon system makes you feel so much more in control. And that is, I think, a really good, nice little tweak.
I was just going to say that it made one launcher feel kind of weird. Like, if you could fire 2 launchers, you didn't really notice it because you were putting out enough damage, even when there were 20s or 30s.
We'll try 4 launchers.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Well, but it made it, like, when I first looked at an MRM launchers, I was like, man, that'll be nice to be able to use one of the missile slots that I have, because I can get more punch with one slot than I do with other stuff.
Plus, the ammo ratio is really good, too.
Yeah. But it didn't always work out that way. Some stuff did really well, but I got more value out of throwing a single rotary on something that had 1 ballistics than I ever got than throwing 1 MRM launcher on, right?
And like, at least the nice category that I found MRMs fitted into was typically mediums, because they might not. There's a lot of mediums in the sphere mediums that aren't the bestest brawlers out there. Yeah, exactly. Something like a Uziel. You don't want to charge in with SRMs, but you don't want to be a turd and fire lerms. So, MRMs are a nice kind of fit.
That remark.
They're fairly lightweight. Like a rack, of course, is 8 tons or so. Then you got to put all the ammo. Whereas MRMs, the minimum cost is 3 tons, like an SRM-6 launcher. You can actually fit a fair number of them into a medium and do some mid-range harass, which is something that fits quite nicely with it in a sphere medium.
Oh, definitely.
It's very nice.
So tournament stuff. Right?
Well, actually, the other tweaks that should be mentioned, at least, is they've done consumable changes, and I'm very happy with them thus far.
Let me go up to that. Kill shots went from 20 to 50 seconds, which isn't too bad. It's kind of like, no, but like, I'm just starting to use like cool shots myself, and this kind of puts a damper on it. But I mean, still, it's like cool. I'll be able to use them, but just longer. That's all.
It's only when someone actually is going maximum cool shot, and typically, at least, if you're something really hot that needs double maximized cool shot, your battle plan is typically not to get stuck in a big long fight anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I like that, at least, because the cool shot is a very powerful ability, and being able to use 2 of them in a very short amount of time did mean that laser boats could just perform really, really, really well if you're playing hard to get. Yeah. But now at least there is an opening with those laser mechs. There is only so much damage they can pump out. This does restrict them a bit, but that's something that is needed, because otherwise, we've had laser metas before, and they're so annoying.
Oh yeah.
But the big one, of course, is strikes.
Yeah.
Strikes was
Alpha strikes. Yeah. God, thank God they actually nerfed that a little bit.
Well, they didn't really nerf it per se, just put longer delays on it, but it also reduced it by 10%.
I had games where I could never get my airstrike to go down because all the guys on my team had 2 airstrikes each, and they were just spamming them out. It's like, well, thanks for not letting me waste money, I guess, but...
Yeah, totally. I'll jump up with the jump back, and then just about to hit him, like, someone else uses it, God damn it!
I like to have an airstrike because that little cloud of red smoke makes someone chasing you back off. That's what I use it for. I use it to buy myself space most often than not. Very rarely do I ever try and capitalize a kill with it unless I know I
can charge too.
Yeah, exactly. It's just you buy yourself room with it, and if it's never up because everyone has 2 and they're using them all willy-nilly for the extra damage, I've died several times that I would have been able to get out of that situation if I in the previous before that change had happened, before the skill patch.
I think, though, at least I imagine because people are going to face that exact trouble, they aren't going to bother taking the double strike things anymore. They're going to have to take something like a UAV, like those lights. Oh no, a UAV on the light.
I double UAV lots, you know.
I take UAVs on my annihilators because I took UAVs on my annihilators because people didn't frickin' take UAVs anymore. So I might as well be a scout super slow mech. And you know what? I did it. I was often the scout mech for the team.
Well, for an assault, it's nice to be able to throw that UAV when someone jumps on you, so at least you can run away and keep your eyes on them.
Exactly. You make a lot of C-bills on top of that as well. Right before you go into brawl, pop one up. That way you'll be able to go ahead and get some money too.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I like the idea of the strikes as somewhat a suppression tool, something to make the enemies panic a little, but the rate of spam before was insane, and it was just too much. It took away from the whole shooting each other thing.
Well, I thought... Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I'll say because if we've gone into matches and we would get, like airstrikes upon airstrikes, and we would be down half damage right off the bat from the first minute.
Well,
I mean, there's still
a good team uses it.
I mean, maximized, right? The thing was, I had it in my annihilator, of course, is you have to be very careful to stay away from the team because each of those strikes do 12% on a super tough mech.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like in the assassin, I had one time, I think me and Lush, we got hit by a strike, and we lost like 30-40% from that freaking thing.
Oh yeah, it sucked.
I thought it was weird. Hard. I thought it was weird that every mech on the battlefield, lore-wise, would have a dedicated aerospace fighter dropping bombs for him.
Yes.
Okay, Bob, I can still drop bombs here. Okay, Roger.
Victor Davian has to scream at people to get support in the middle of a firefight against the clans, but we have our own fighters waiting.
Yeah, no, we have two fighters waiting for us.
Online.
Airstrike online.
I just thought it was just bizarre, like, especially in faction warfare. The amount of airstrikes you see in that game is astronomically crazy.
It makes more sense in faction warfare. Sorry to interrupt, Bob. No, it makes more sense to me in faction warfare because at least there's a feeling that there's more than just the 12 mechs on the field attacking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
And everybody walking down and airstriking to take out the gate is something that should happen more. But there's not enough coordination.
Using airstrike against the gate, so it'll do damage against the gate. That would be interesting to go.
When everyone's doing so everyone does. We already see the run the Congo line to take it out, but on the maps that's not available. There's got to be a spot that you can get to drop that strike.
Yeah. True.
Huh, to wrap up at least, or at least attempt to, it's I felt like the amount of strikes that were being used was it was a degenerative strategy that isn't always the most fun to play with or against. Mm-hmm. And what they've done is they've reduced the damage bonus you get from the nodes, so they aren't so ridiculously crazy. There's a larger cooldown, so that you're not getting hammered and hammered and hammered and hammered like every 2 seconds. And the big other thing is actually I've actually noticed this is the extra 2 seconds before the strike even lands. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of times I'll actually see the plane approaching, and it takes a while for the bomb to actually land, and that gives you a good amount of time, a good window to get out of the way. Because 5 seconds before in a mech is actually quite difficult to get out of such a large area.
I don't know, most of the time I got a pug right behind me, so like I back up. I'm like, dude, get away! Get out of the way, please!
We gotta move!
Yeah,
man.
So while strikes they still hurt people, they can still be used to soften the enemy or suppress them. It cannot be spammed. And it doesn't do such ridiculous damage for your investment. And of course, players have a way. It actually, people see the flare and they hide from it for 7 seconds. Like that suppression effect happens well, and I love having the ability to dodge the frickin' things.
Yeah, being able to not get hit by them and actually dodge, unheard of.
Well, a lot of times I would actually jump up, and for some reason, like right as it goes off, I'll jump up and wouldn't do any damage.
Yeah, using jump jets being able to avoid it did work actually for a while.
I know. That was fun.
Yeah. But if you're a ground pounder, like in an assault or something, you are too slow to get out of the way in 5 seconds. If you were even moving in the first place, you probably can't get away.
You
It's such a large area, you don't have the jump jets to fly up. It was bad.
All right, so should we move on?
Yes, dead air.
Yes.
Well, the
a little bit
other
of dead
bits
air
and
never hurt
pieces.
anybody.
There are other little bits and pieces, right?
Sure. Like,
It was not just the freaking strikes, but the light machine gun meta with all the
yeah,
That was coming. That was coming.
It was coming, but I miss it. I miss that so much already.
People still doing it a lot because, of course, you have to get machine gun damage.
Yeah.
And because, as we talked earlier, everyone's sort of tunnel visioning and forming big blobs and just playing like utter potatoes, you can do a lot of work with machine guns. Like, just because I've been sometimes to relieve the stress, the salt, I just go around and do like machine gun locust stealth.
Nice.
And tear people apart because they lack all
Ooh,
coordination.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
I like that.
But yeah, the light machine guns critted at a ridiculous rate, and now they're back down to I think what the other machine
9.
guns do,
9
which
times.
9 times, which I think is similar to what the others do. So for the most part, I'm quite happy with that because I think they overbuffed the light machine guns. I always thought the light machine guns were going to be actually pretty good weapons, and they over-adjusted them. I think with that crit chance thing.
Well, sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say they over-adjusted it, and that's that was why it's just like a light machine gun mech comes behind you, just and all your weapons are instantly gone.
When I was playing like I was doing the event, and I had my light machine guns did my damage like normal with the arrow. Then I switched to normal machine guns, and I was killing mechs left and right for some reason. I don't understand what happened. I might have got lucky getting some internals, but I was whacking people left and right with normal machine guns, and I might actually stick to normal machine guns to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just seemed I was doing a little bit more damage and everything else than like light machine guns did. But the range is pretty nice on them though.
The light machine gun's rate strength was always that versatility, ability to do that horrible feeling crits at range. So giving it the extra crit stuff was just so much extra icing on the cake of a weapon that was already pretty interesting and viable on its own.
Yeah, true.
The next thing is rotary AC2s. They've increased the go seat threshold from 2 to 3.
Which means you can use 3 of them.
Yep.
That makes sense. I've seen those happen. Like I think Opstoner was using one of those with like 3 like rotary AC2s worked out pretty well.
There's a dragon build that's going to get better with that.
Mm-hmm. The issue with 2s, at least, is just the DPS they do for the tonnage compared to 5s isn't that great, and I don't think the projectiles they have makes up for it enough, or the range. However, the Rack 2 does certainly need some love, and this is a great way to start with it, that you can... you could strap 3 of them together and do 15 DPS to match the Rack 5's 20 DPS with 2 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying way more tonnage for less DPS, but and more space, and you're wasting more ammo. But
it's fun.
At least it's getting some love.
Yes, it's fun.
needed.
It feels great to shoot 3 of them. I do want to say that.
I've yet to try that.
I played around with I can't remember what dragon it was, but I played around with it in the public test when that was going on, and oh boy.
Yeah, I might be undervaluing the suppression effect of 3, who knows, but it needs love, and that's just what it needed.
Well, like as I was saying before, most of the time it's just a suppression weapon. It doesn't really do that much damage unless you really, really, suppress. I mean, just nail them constantly. But a lot of times when people get hit these things, they just run behind a building and say, "Oh my God, I'm being hit by by AC rounds." Yeah. But in reality, though, you could go wherever you want to. It doesn't really do that much damage because you have to do it over time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just when they derp and don't respond right that you get your damage in.
Yeah, exactly.
And that so those are the situations you hope that they're not going to respond right. You set yourself up so you can take advantage of them reacting poorly. Otherwise, you take the fact that you've pushed them off their firing line and move on to the next guy.
Exactly.
Hopefully, you catch someone who's 5 seconds from cover because you have about 5 seconds of firing time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it doesn't really do that much damage. So basically, know that when you get hit by these things, you can still do whatever you're going to do. It's just you have that extra bit of time because it's not as good as a normal AC2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It just freaks me out, which I love.
Oh, yeah. God, it's so much fun. Look, he's running. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, whoa.
Oh, well, I was going to move on to the Gauss rifle changes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the light Gauss rifle's cooldown has been reduced by 0.5 seconds, so it's 3.25, then the charge up, boom. For the event, I did use a light Gauss rifle. It still doesn't really feel that great to use. That cooldown is still fairly lengthy for the damage you're actually giving out. I don't know. It feels so lethargic, even when I was using it on the gridiron. Like
Well, like people have been saying, like 2 of them, like on the gridiron, it works pretty well. At least a lot of people have been saying.
It's like firing a regular Gauss rifle a little more often.
Yeah.
The difficulty is like still, I don't know the charge up time, let's say 0.75 seconds. It's every 4 seconds you put out a Gauss rifle shot, rather than every 5.75. So it's a little better than Gauss. Obviously the cooldown is quite a bit shorter, but the charge up time is still a big factor for Gauss rifles.
Yeah. Well,
And that's actually why I think I really like the heavy Gauss rifle changes.
Oh, yeah.
That is actually more what the light Gauss needed. You change the charge up duration. The light Gauss needs to charge real quick, or at least quicker than it feels like right now. And the heavy Gauss, it used to be 1 second. It took forever to get started, and then it lasted for so short without skill tree. Now it charges up just like the other Gauss rifles, and you can retain it for a second. It's usable without having to take the nodes.
That was what killed me about it, because it's supposed to be. I mean, whether it's viable in the game as a brawling or a Gauss rifle, but that's what it's intended to be, is a closer range. And it takes so long to charge up. You got to pre-charge it before you go into a brawl, and you get 2 shots off. Like,
yeah, it took so long to charge up, and then unless you were looking at exactly the right point when you needed it, you would lose it so quickly. That was sort of the thing I had like in the Annihilator. It's just that it's a huge wind up, and then they see the Annihilator staring at them, so they start running sideways. And I've got this awful big, huge, giant, slow-moving torso that it takes me about a second or so to aim, but I've only got half a second without skill nodes to let go of the trigger. Like it's really hard to time it.
But if you do, it's nice.
Sounds stressful.
Yeah, so I had took the skill nodes, so I had it goes from 0.5 seconds to 2 seconds of charge time, which is more than enough. But now, it's definitely what it needed, and I love it. The heavy Gauss rifle feels it's always a fun weapon to use. It's maybe not the most optimum weapon,
but
it
can
just
use
feels
2 of
so
them
much more fun. Annihilator, Mauler, Warhammer.
Okay, cool.
Cyclops hero.
I haven't played around with the viability of. I think you can get them into catapult is probably the smallest, but I don't know about ammo.
I have seen catapult. Heavy Gauss catapult for the event.
Yeah, no, the K2 man. I want to bring out the boom cats or the blunder cats again and get 5 or 6 of us in K2s with AC-20s and just go see what we can do.
Yeah. The nice thing is. With the ammo racks as well, by the way, with heavy Gauss, is you get 1 extra shot per thing. Yes. So you only have 5 shots normally. It's 6, then 7.
That little bit helps.
It's amazing what that does.
It changes how much damage you can do with them, because they're obviously our main weapon.
All my AC-20 medium laser style heavy mechs, when that came out, lost a ton of ammo because I picked up a ton's worth of ammo with the quirk, and I was able to get extra heat sinks or stuff like that without changing anything else. It was beautiful. That's the best. That is the best part about the skill tree. I could talk about that all day.
But yeah, basically,
they needed something like that a long time ago.
Yeah. So basically, they were the heavy Gauss. To summarize, it was only sort of got fun when you got the skill nodes for it. Now, it's still a little difficult to use. Like the nodes definitely help. But oh man, this thing is so much more fun, and that is just viable. Exactly what the weapon is made for. Is for fun.
Yeah,
I would like to see them reduce the chance of it being critted a little bit, just because that's the main drawback in keeping it or from it playing the role they intended for it is that it just disappears.
I think it does have a fair amount of HP. But it does a crazy amount of hit damage to your side torsos. Like my Annihilator, I put double case on both sides because I can zombie with that mech, and if I lose both sides, the torso, center torso is like orange. I took a lot of damage to that center from just my own Gauss rifles.
Okay, I just made a boom hammer with 2 heavy Gauss rifles, in case you guys want to go see it on my stream. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 tons of ammo with the quirks, gives you an extra 2 per. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'll have to try this one. It goes 46.29. It's a Warhammer 6R.
I think I built a Mauler 1P with 2 heavy Gauss rifles and 2 light PPCs.
I'll have to try this. Actually. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I think the Premier one is still sort of the Annihilator. Just you've got so much tonnage and you've got armor rather than structure buffs.
Yeah, yeah. But that costs money though.
Yes.
Because we lack money, which we don't have.
Yes. Oh, I love the Annihilator though. It was all I dreamed it to be. Okay, to finish up the changes, weapons that aren't typically used as much, like heavy PPC, the cooldown has been increased because that thing was viable enough already. Oh, it kind of was.
It kind of was actually. I have a Vindy with a heavy PPC and some other smaller lasers to back it up, and it's pretty freaking good, man.
I did. What I did was I put heavy PPC on the 1X, heavy PPC, triple light machine gun, and MRM 10, and make it a jump tank.
Not far off. Yeah. Maybe it was that one. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's interesting, obviously, balancing the inner sphere PPCs, but for the most part, I feel they're too much tonnage, space, and heat for what they do for the inner sphere.
Yeah.
Which Vindicator did you put that on?
The 1X, because it's got the machine guns.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, I guess you can do that.
Because you get PPC quirks a lot of the time with the Vindys that those heavy PPCs really like.
Oh.
It's only got 1 energy in the arm after all, so might as well put the biggest PPC there.
Yeah. Also, completely forgot about how they gave 2 damage per missile on the rocket launcher.
Yeah, but I really didn't use those, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I put this in the weapons that aren't necessarily so hot right now category.
They're there, but
Well, I think that rocket launchers took a huge hit when they did that 50-meter minimum range thing, which was needed. But all of the troll builds just evaporated, and so people are now kind of trying to look at them from a more practical standpoint of where do I need, and then you do that and you go, where do I sacrifice 1.5 tons? Why don't I just put an extra armor and another heatsink on?
Or something.
I mean, basically what they did by making it have to go 50 meters, it's kind of like, I've got a free LRM 10 strike or LRM 20 strike on the enemy mech.
Yeah.
Which isn't much, given LRM mechs just spam those things for days. LRM 10, LRM 10, LRM 10. Well, hey, for half a ton, I got a free LRM 10 strike. Woo!
But only one.
Yes, only one. The extra damage, that is nice. I do actually have rockets just here and there, a little bits and pieces, and it's nice.
Yeah.
I made a gross archer with MRMs and LRMs and rocket launchers
the
and everything.
Shit.
You know what kind of sucks now, though? Like, after the MRM change, is that I built a lot of my builds off of coinciding with different weapons, and now the ER small lasers are not coinciding with the MRMs, so I have to redo a couple of my builds now.
Mm-hmm.
It's only recently that I've even looked at that sort of thing, like use that as a criteria to build together, like weapon.
Oh, for like range and synergy.
Range. And it's just because of the way I approach. So very often I'll trigger one weapon system at a time, not because it's opportunity. Like I'll pop an AC shot off at somebody that I know I can hit, but I'm not going to waste a full burn on my lasers, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so just my play style, it took me the longest time to even think about. Oh, if I these 2 weapons have the same cooldown, so I can fire them all at the same. And then like it just was a leap in logic that my brain didn't make for the longest time.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah, I've been surprised how many brains I've blown by saying, "Hey, just put LBX10 and SRM4 together."
Dude, how you doing?
That's a match made in heaven. It
is absolutely good. Yeah.
But anyway, do you guys want to move on to the next thing we have going on?
Which is?
Well, lastly, would just be slight changes to the AC-10 weapons, just little changes in heat. And
it's so minimal.
It's minimal, basically.
Yeah, I never felt like AC-10s were bad. They're just kind of there. a lot
UAC
of the time.
10s?
Maybe they were a
AC10s are
bit hot.
always a little bit hot, and
Yeah.
UAC 10s for clan are a little hotter now. But they
Yeah.
were not really that like they're sort of fallen out of rotation at the moment anyway.
Well, they did
Actually,
actually
yeah.
like increase the heat on the clan UAC 10s by
Yeah.
0.5. So that's
Whereas in a sphere, you haven't seen much UAC 10, and now it's a little cooler, and you probably still won't see much UAC 10.
Nah, probably not.
There's some possibilities to squeak it into a laser build if it's got a better heat.
Yeah.
Except for the event, that's probably when we'll see him the most right now during
Yeah.
the ballistic event.
There was a great dual AC10, and I don't know whatever else I put on it, medium lasers, I think, rifle, and it was just fun, right? It
I'll
just
say
bang,
that-
bang, bang.
That or a Warhammer is really good too.
Mhm.
Dual AC10s.
Yeah.
Actually, the Bushwhacker with dual AC10s works very well.
I've heard that.
Oh god,
Yeah.
it is so nice. I'm still trying to put two AC20s on it to see if I could do it or not.
AC10s are. Yeah. The thing with AC10s, though, is just at least the projectile is. It's almost like an AC20 kind of feeling.
Mhm.
So you can't really hit people out of range, but unlike an AC20, you're not hitting them as hard.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
always
so it
just
doesn't
sort
have
of
the
that.
benefit.
Yeah. It's always that sort of. It's kind of awkward. It's kind of powerful. It's got some range, unlike the AC20, but it's also. It needs a bus ticket to get there.
The way I think of it,
Nice
It's gotta
analogy.
pay for a transfer to get to
yeah,
one part.
the
of
way I
that.
think of it is with an AC20, if you're shooting beyond your maximum range, you're still doing about an AC10 worth of damage. If you're doing that with an AC10, you're down to an AC5, and that's not actually going to be enough, probably on one shot to do much.
But like in general, though, like with my Bushwhacker, I just I go in, shoot, and then come back out because I'm so fast with that medium mech, or I just get behind cover. Then I then I kind of snipe from there, like from people that are really close, and I don't really use it as a ranged weapon. I go in and get my kills.
Yeah,
You basically go in and strafe and just kind of bug out when you can.
Yeah, and it's so fast that I'm able to do that. And plus, the hit reg on the Bushwhacker is so nice that it's beautiful. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
It's wonky. It's weird.
Yeah, it's
it's a
really
baby
weird.
marauder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So,
next
do we
thing
have
would
anything else?
be, the changes they've done to some of the quirks of the mechs. Like at least my big two focuses is at least the Kintaro
Uziel.
and the. Well,
Uziel.
Bob was the Uziel. I'll let him talk about that. But the Archer and Kintaro both sort of got now quite armored rather than structured. And that makes them really tanky, but it's just a great shame that they haven't seen them much around because, of course, everyone's running ballistic mechs and
Yeah.
they don't have any ballistics whatsoever. But I did run out with a Kintaro, kind of remembering the legacy days when I only had 2 tubes, so I went mass streak. Because I went mass streak 2, and that thing was tanky as all
Oh,
hell.
yeah.
It was beautiful. It's like it reminds me of the Vindicator in terms of how tough it is. It's
I know Lemming is ready to come back as soon as he saw
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
I know.
And same thing sort of with the Archer. Whilst the Archer is still really awkward for its shape, it's always been quite a tanky mech, and it's
But
even
now,
more tanky
It's
now.
ridiculous. Like I need to bring mine out because the way they changed it looks stupid.
If you like underdog mechs and you really enjoy them, something like the Innisphere Orion, Vindicator, there's 2 more mechs, a 55 tonner and 70 tonner added to the beautiful ugly stable.
And with the Uziel, basically, they actually added structure bonuses. Now, like before, in the patch before, they actually redid the hitboxes on the right and left torso to make it a little bit more in the center torso, which is nice, and then also in the arms. And with this new patch, they put structure bonuses for center, left, and right torso of 588. And then also they gave a lot of mobility quirks like acceleration, deceleration, turn rate, yaw pitch, and arm yaw pitch, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, I cannot tell you how happy I am about this because this is my favorite mech of all time.
Uziel has some nice high arm points.
Yeah.
You can always just poke up and trade with people, and it's now got all that mobility to be a nice little harasser.
Exactly.
I still think at least Innisphere 50 tonner is always a little squishy, always struggles a little to fit weapons in, but differentiating all these mechs out, not just making them all giant blobs of armor, is very nice. And at least for old Bob, it gives a new lease of life to his
It gave me a
little
new
mess.
lease of life for the game. It's so much fun. And then also for the Kintaro too, for like limbing.
Yeah, he's gonna love that thing.
Oh
Oh yeah,
by far.
I was a big fan of the Kintaros playing it. I used it as a light hunter with those streak twos.
Oh yeah, I know. Same here too. Same here.
Yeah. Otherwise, everyone, at least when they saw the patch notes, they had to tell me about the assassin nerf.
Yeah, because that's your favorite mech. The 21.
Assassin.
It's just a missile like velocity. It's not. It's only -5. They just took it
It's
out.
a slight nerf, not huge.
But they've noticed it's been doing good, which is true because it is a good mech.
Yeah, it's amazing, man.
But it doesn't really affect you because you actually get up close and personal. Now basically with like missile velocity taken out for other people that use it for like the maximum range of the missiles, it's going to affect them because and it's going to get to the mechs a lot slower. But you just come up their ass and just like stick it up there. You keep on doing that.
My points.
Morty.
My playstyle was the one that I encouraged everyone to do is shoot people at point blank with that thing.
Yeah,
because the spread is huge on without
always
Optimus.
take more than one with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So velocity means nothing when the distance covered is 1 meter.
Yeah.
There's one thing about these they're doing some heat changes. Sorry to kind of roll on, but they're doing some heat changes with the Firestarter and the Wolfhound.
Yeah,
just to bring it down to 5 from 10%. And I don't know about a Firestarter. I haven't driven one since they first came out.
I gotta use one.
But the Wolfhound, that mech is great, and it actually kind of does run pretty cool a lot of the time. So I feel like I see why they wanted to do that, but I'm worried that stuff like the Grinner with it makes such a good laser boat light type of thing that you can do ECM with. I'm worried that those mechs will lose a little bit more viability when we've already lost the backstabbing role for lights. Like, what else is a light mech going to do if they don't make them?
In my personal opinion, at least, the Wolfhound and Firestarter they're kind of fun mechs. They're really tough, at least, but the actual firepower is not that sublime. And they're barely viable.
But they're fun. They're fun. That's all that matters.
I actually found they were quite hot, personally. At least if you run like a whole
all energy
massive, they're all energy boats. So it's like if you run a whole massive, like 5-6 medium lasers, even like particularly ER mediums, that gets toasty. And there's only so much damage during the game they can actually pump out because
the Wolfhound 2. The 2, I think, is the one with a bunch with 6 or 7.
6.
Is it
6?
6?
Four in the torso and 2 in the arms.
Yeah, and so I can see why they would do that on that because that's a pulse laser boat and a large engine. That's just disgusting.
Groovian says that the Wolfhounds are considered the best lights in the game.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it. They're so tanky.
They're really tanky. They can put out a lot of firepower, and I've seen a lot of top tier groups use them too.
Yeah.
And
just I've run like 3 of my Wolfhounds are still stock with medium lasers and an ER large, just because it's such a nice loadout for kind of managing your heat and getting some poke damage, but also having a decent alpha that you can, exploit damage already done. Yeah, I just put a bigger engine in.
I'm happy for the SF9H with a 25% more machine gun rate of fire. That's kind of cool, actually. Because I'm gonna start using that one actually, because the flame range 15%, and you could get the flamer range to 90 now, right? For the normal flamer.
I think so, yeah.
But normally 90, yeah.
But I think you get it to like maybe 110 or something like that with all different quirks that you pop into it. 110, kind of cool, you know. So the longer range the better, but with the rate of fire you could just unload on people now. It's kind of nice. I like that.
I always wanted to light and heavy flamers, even if they haven't been actually done in the tabletop.
Heavy flamer?
Yeah, twice the tonnage, but obviously half the range and twice the heating.
I don't know if they could put that in, though, to tell you the truth. It's just, I don't think it's viable for them to put that stuff in. Well, at least not now, because they're working on so much different other things right now. Like MechWarrior 5 and the walk around the mech bay.
Yeah, let's not make flamers any better than they already are. It's already kind of aggravating when you get.
Well, they're already heavy flamers. heavy flamers had like point blank, whereas light flamers actually are like machine guns. You can actually touch someone.
The thing is you don't see someone stand off at max range with a flamer anyway, so it doesn't matter how much range they have.
Yeah,
but it
in
helps.
the sphere,
though.
you're paying 2
Shoving them
tons
up your ass.
You're paying 2 tons for the damn thing,
Fair point.
and it would be like, I don't know,
It'd
2
be cool.
slots.
Did you guys like
But
the old
it's-
flamer or the new flamer graphics?
I like the old one better.
I like the
'cause
old
you
one
would
better.
You would blind
Old.
people with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
There was
That was
some
kinda
value
cool.
to it that wasn't just damage or.
Yeah.
That was its main value, was blinding people.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing. Because now
But-
it's like they made this new like butane torch looking look to it.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't. No.
Nah.
Yeah.
I miss my old basically aliens looking flamethrower
Oh yeah.
to blind your opponent. Just piss them off.
Well, that kind of sucks. On the H, I can like 2 machine guns. That kind of blows.
Hmm.
It only has
that's
2
weird.
ballistic slots.
Well, if it's a decent rate of fire quirk, then you might be able to do heavy machine guns with that, even though they're range limited.
Yeah,
But
I'm
at
looking
least
at it
you're,
now.
yeah. Like that's what I feel the biggest bonus with heavy machine guns is that you can essentially put a little bit more damage from your regular machine gun on a fewer ballistic slots. So you don't need to have 4. You can maybe get away with 2 or 3 and quirks. It's not ideal, but you know, for something like our event, you could probably get away with it.
True. I mean, it's a pretty viable build, to tell you the truth. I mean, actually.
Yeah, you should give it a shot, man.
Oh, I like this. Oh, but I like
So, just to round off the very last thing, at least for me, is hey, they finally sort of improved the heat containment nodes, so it applies to all
Yay!
Good.
the heat values, so it makes a bigger
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah,
And,
thank God for that.
Yep, it actually makes the operation tree more valuable. And next up, I think at least Red Shirt should pick up stuff about turbulence stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think
Well-
you're the main man for that one.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask. We're at like an hour already.
Yep.
Yes.
This could be a conversation.
You got 20 seconds. Go.
So I was going to say, why don't we just touch on MechCon, because that's the main thing, and hold the tournament / esports discussion for next week, where you guys can do a little time to research it and come back with a little more grounding on it. Then you're not, and it's not completely only me.
I love how he says research is like, yeah, okay.
Well, go read the site or something,
Okay.
right? Or
Everyone
look
go
up
do
the
your
values
homework.
of
Everyone
of
go
esports.
to MechCon and research it.
Yeah, well,
It's true. I mean, it's good to be
And
informed.
I'm happy to have a one-sided conversation about esports because I love it. And I think that it's the way that games should, that lots of multiplayer games now will see a new life. We just had StarCraft remastered release, and you want to bet that happened because Blizzard wanted to make $15 a copy? No,
Yeah, that's
because
true.
there's
I actually watched
an
some
entire
matches, too.
country
I'll have to check that out. Thank you.
developed a television industry around StarCraft 1.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
At least in terms of, I'm not sure. I'm a little skeptical about the whole competitive thing. At least for MechWarrior Online, I would say my personal model, perhaps for a new life, is obviously the new BattleTech game. Isn't that coming out fairly soon?
Yeah. Well, next
Soon,
year.
yes.
Next year
And
now.
a big thing, at least a good contender to look at, is something like Rainbow Six Siege. Now, that had a lot of issues for when it first came out the gate. It wasn't very popular, but I don't think it's necessarily the whole just a competitive scene or whatever that was what gave it its new surge of life.
I
don't
think
think.
MechWarrior Online needs. Oh, sorry.
No,
I think
I-
MechWarrior Online needs a bigger player base. to
Well,
do
yeah,
sports.
there's some issues with that.
Well, you're absolutely right, but I think the biggest benefit to a competitive gaming scene is that there's actually you're showing off the best players of your game, right? And you're showing it in a way that people who are new to it can learn the basics of the game just from observing and being the watchers, but also gives people who have a little bit of interest already. It's maybe I'll check this out. I think about League of Legends, and I mean that's your prototypical esport now because it does it brings people into that game because they see people play at the highest level and go, I think I could probably try that, right? And so there's certain marketing value too.
The thing with the marketing value of all these competitive games is somebody who doesn't even really know the game, whether they can view it and sort of understand what's going on.
And have fun watching it too.
So, at least like with stuff in League of Legends, at least for, I imagine, the first viewing experience, you can sort of see the big fat characters. They and the commentators keep calling them tanks and saying they absorb direct damage. And then there's somebody throwing these big, huge, damagey things, and it's like, oh, that's a DPS, and they're doing lots of damage. Like the simple tank, DPS, support, 3 simple roles that people can sort of understand, even if they don't know all the mechanics.
Yeah,
and of course, everyone can sit down in the game and figure and look at how those characters play and do them themselves. Similar kind of thing in StarCraft to some degree as well. But there's only 2 players. They're not always fighting all the time, even if there's this huge big map where all the stuff is going on. But at least you can sort of see that tanks, they go boom and lots of things die.
Yes.
And Marines charge forward and fire lots of machine guns and things just melt in front of them. And it's a great visual spectacle. The thing with MechWarrior Online, at least its accessibility troubles, is partly the size of the maps and the duels going on. At least, if you got 8v8, is there's a lot of mechs moving all over the place. It's really hard necessarily to get to the screen to the right place of the action. The next thing is, of course, what builds people have, where they're being hurt, where they're hurting others, and how hot they are, and all that stuff. There's loads of details about mech builds, play styles, and the exact conditions of all the mechs at the time. Like, in some ways, at least for competitive, I imagine for MechWarrior, the only sort of chance it has, or at least the biggest chance in my mind, is something where you have a replay system where the competitive players verse one another, and then somebody goes through the footage, through and picks all the best camera angles and commentates and explains everything that's going on and saying, and we see, you quickly go through the whole preliminary stage where the 2 teams are spending 5 minutes maneuvering.
Well, the problem is, though, that basically when you have this type of league system, you have to advertise it. Like even me, I'm totally into Battletech, totally MechWarrior. I love lore, I love the game, I love everything about it. Well, I have my issues, but I mean, I have literally no interest in looking at the faction warfare or the comp play. So if MechWarrior kind of like enticed, like what I'm really like enticed, like say, advertised more of what it is. I mean, they do a little bit, not as much as they should, but like I think if they advertise a lot more, hey, get everyone hyped about it, get everyone done up. They're trying. Don't get me wrong, but they need to do a little bit better of a job of vote for your team or like something like that. Just get people engaged into the comp play, not just actually just watching it, but actually kind of like vote for your favorite team, and this team turned out to be the best team voted for type thing. Have the games. Bombadil, I think it's Bombadil, right? He does the comp play stuff.
One of them, yeah.
Basically one of the guys, I forgot who. See, that's the issue. I don't know who actually does that. I know, that kind of thing. But they, just like you said, is have the, have the replay just like in a football game, because they can do that on the spot. Say, he caught the ball with his left hand, just that kind of stuff on the spot. That'd be perfect. But they don't do that kind of stuff.
I don't know who watched the World Championships last year, but I watched them all. I was an avid viewer. Well, the finals were a little wonky, but throughout the year, like I'd go and watch here's a 15-minute, they're doing a bunch of qualifiers and stuff.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, it was Bandit and his buddy, the other guy at NGNG. I can't remember his name, but doesn't matter. Most of the time, it was kind of like, come on, guys, it's your job to sell this game a bit, hype this shit. But it's hard to hype the early game kind of quiet. So I think the biggest thing that needs to happen for MechWarrior as an esport would be to have commentators, as good as those guys are in their game knowledge. We need to have people who can hype it and make it exciting for people to watch. Otherwise, there's
you need
given that subject material.
Yeah.
Given that subject material, though, I find it at least interesting because I mean, I've only done a little bit of comp play myself, at least because, sometimes my unit competed in MRBC.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the meta is just, brawl. So everyone gets, the most, small pulse laser slash SRM mechs. It's all a big scouting match.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's just, it turns into a maelstrom. And the winner is whichever team focus fastest on the right targets.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
and if that's always the case, for that game mode, it's always quite samey, and it's really hard to tell who hell's winning. Even the players don't really necessarily know.
Well, that's where the onus falls on the caster to make it entertaining and to give that description as to what's going on, even if he's a little bit wrong, because it'll all make sense by the end of it.
But to tell you the truth, the caster is right now. He's doing a good job. Don't get me wrong.
They're doing a great job.
They're doing a great job.
There's just some moments where it's guys, let's find something.
Let's get some more action, going. Basically, we need people to get us more interested in it. Okay, so
biter.
Yeah. Sorry. So who here has watched the old Comedy Central BattleBots?
Oh God, yeah.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. Okay. As dumb as it is, you would watch matches where nothing would effing happen, but you'd still be somewhat entertained by the commentary.
Yes. What's that game?
That's the kind of shit you need.
Yeah. What's that game that actually had the robots that? And they had wheels on them. They had wheels on the bottom, and they look like really cool mechs. But they'll have battles against each other, in a tournament type thing. I forgot what it's called.
I have no idea what that is.
So, you mean a BattleBots? That was wasn't it the attempt to take Robot Wars across?
It was Robot Wars. Yeah,
it was a cartoon. One I'm talking about, though.
Oh, the one you're talking. No, I know, but oh shoot, I know what you're talking about, Bob.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called though.
Yeah, a big thing at least with a big thing with Robot Wars at least is, of course, the fact that these are actually made by people, and it's a lot of freaking work to put these things together, and they have to pull it back together at the end.
But
Combat League.
But just imagine, if you had the commentators from MechWarrior, if these commentators were to maybe, I don't know, do a short interview with the players who are playing, discuss their mechs, discuss their builds, discuss their playstyles, and find out why they use what they do.
That's hard to do, though, man.
Yeah, Bob. But the thing is, though, you need fucking effort in these things to make it worthwhile. So I'm saying, have the commentators, be personable, have them get to know the player base, and then during that lull period of them scouting through the maps and that lull period of nothing, the commentators can basically balance between themselves and say, oh, so-and-so is bringing this, they're probably going to do that, and try to do a guessing game before the actual battle begins. That's how I think it would make these matches more engaging. Because, granted, last year I didn't watch them, but mainly from talking to people from last year, they told me it was a effing snooze fest.
Well, because it was all the same strategy. It very much came down to spawn points.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob. Sorry.
Krivian's saying that basically they do interviews with the players and stuff, and they do interviewing the team captains and ask about their plans, texts, and etc. But I think for me to talk more about it, though, I would have to watch a couple matches because basically when I used to watch it was a war fest, though.
We have it's great that you said that, Bob, because there so happens to be tournament rules and schedules up right now that I'm madly trying to find as we're talking here.
Okay.
To say they've released the MechCon 2017 semifinal schedule. September, that's already happened. Tomorrow we have WDMC versus RJFS. I don't know either of those clans, but that's okay.
To make some suggestions again, because like I was saying, it really depends what source material you're working from, and however well you get however well you do things with it, sometimes it's just 8v8 is just so much stuff going on. There's so many details that's really hard for any caster to really understand.
Yeah,
and that's why I suggested the replay system, something like I think Bob would appreciate this, the Battlestar Galactica replay system.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Something like that. Another thing, at least, that could be at least really worth a try, and this might be a thing after Stellaris is installed. I think they get better with that. Is 1v1 matches. because then the commentators can say, oh, this guy's got this mech and he's looking to, win the fight this way, and this guy's got this mech. So it really depends, how they engage and how, they, what's the win conditions for them. And then you can actually follow each of the mechs and see where they're taking damage, who's heating up, etc. Because there's so many details to explain to a first-time audience member that in some ways, for MechWarrior Online, a 1v1 is the way to go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, to quickly make a corollary would be something like Overwatch. That is a 6v6 game, right? But and all the characters are fixed, set in their ways, but there's a lot of mechanics and overlay, and there's great difficulties they have somewhat with they haven't done a replay system with that game. It's kind of hard with all the particle effects going on to see exactly what's going. And they have great personalities and a greatly polished game that can become, is trying to make into an esport.
Does Wolf count as a great personality? I don't know.
I don't know. But there are great difficulties, at least there are hurdles, even for something like Overwatch, to overcome in regards to competitive games. And that is actually something, they built the game very much with competitive in mind, it feels like. Whereas MechWarrior Online, it started with, obviously, Battletech and tabletop rules in mind and stuff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that companies should absolutely take Blizzard's lead in how to approach a game from an esports perspective.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because they got it figured out. They know what they're doing.
It's
and they stumbled on it. Brood War was never meant to be that. And in reality, if it had come out now, it would be a terrible esport, but it's not, because it's great.
But to put them side by side, right? It's just Overwatch made for competitive, brilliant, a huge game, heavily polished, 6v6, a little bit of a clusterfuck. MechWarrior Online, even more complicated, way more variants.
More clusterfuck.
Not made it initially, and it's 8v8. There's 2 more players on each side.
Here's the thing that on the surface, like when we were going through the Kickstarter for MechWarrior Online, like I had my couple of buddies who are involved with Team Red Shirt with me, and pardon?
Yeah, you mean for Battletech?
No, I mean for MechWarrior when it kickstarted.
Really
in
had a
2010.
I didn't know.
Oh yeah, that's where all most of the founder stuff comes from.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so we had a lot of talk when we're waiting for beta to drop and all this stuff, where it's like, okay, so we're going to start working. Okay, you're going to get good at being a light pilot and get your scouting going on. Well, we're going to focus on strike. You know what I mean? And we were trying to kind of plan how we would work as a lance. And there was a lot of that going on. And most of that came from the fact that MechWarrior 4 was such a successful competitive game. It wasn't an esport, but it was a competitive. Well, it was an esport, but it wasn't as we know it now, where it was a lot of tournaments for the sake of the players to play rather than for people to watch.
Leaderboard type stuff, right?
Exactly. And so it was a lot of like people wanted to compete in MechWarrior 4 because they loved to compete and they wanted to play against the other people who were at their level. So on the surface, it was like, yeah, MechWarrior Online is totally going to be like that because those same people are going to show up.
Did you ever play NetBattleTech? NetBattleTech.com. Check it out because that's what I played MechWarrior 4. And it was, I mean, literally, you talk about, you take a planet, you could assault a planet just for getting tonnage. Like you do a raid on someone else's planet, take their tonnage or destroy their tonnage at that planet, then do a massive assault on them. And NetBattleTech is what I think Faction Warfare should have been. But
yes,
I mean, NetBattleTech was just the most amazing thing I've ever played because I was clan Mongoose. And we fought other clans. We fought like everyone else. We took planets. We held planets. We did all different things. And it used the MechWarrior 4 engine to go and do the battles. And then you do the rules like go and type in, we lost 4 mechs here. We killed 12 type thing. Then it puts it in like, okay, this team now has 4 mechs less, type thing. So basically, it kept track of everything, of what's where. And you had each planet actually produced a certain amount of points for either like developing mechs, doing jump points to jump to other planets type thing. So when you took out another team's jump planet, they couldn't do anything. They had to just go and defend and hopefully get some tonnage to go ahead and buy jump points. Basically go and jump to the different planets. So it had a lot of strategy, and then you could also go to coincide like we went with Clan Wolverine and said, hey, we'll join up with you guys and go collect and go attack Clan Wolf. So we totally destroyed Clan Wolf. We both went in, and then we started attacking each other. But you do alliances, a whole bunch of different things. It's beautiful. It's a really good system to go and have, which I wish they did.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, since we're rolling on like almost, time wise, like
1 hour and 20 or so minutes.
Yeah.
So should we start going on to like the last few topics then, and maybe we can kind of like how TR said, maybe do more tournaments into next week.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. We've had a little kind of touch on conversation with. There's some stuff about the tournaments that it'd be good to dive into with some specific rule choices they've made. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about it, but we'll absolutely save that for next week.
At least, in my mind, just though to quickly round out, I think at least I don't really care much for the same 8v8s all the time. I think honestly 1v1s is sort of the way to at least get people first into the viewers interested in. And in some ways, like what you might want to do is like people have to choose, they have to choose 4 assault mechs, 4 heavies, 4 mediums, etc. And they know each other's mechs, and they can veto one, something like that, and you can only drop one.
We played around with that.
Something like that, because then you've got both of them sort of metagaming each other's mechs. 2 of them have to be clan, 2 of them have to be in a sphere, whatever. Something like that. There's a competition between 2 individuals and all their different builds.
Yeah. That's very similar to the Conquest format for Hearthstone, where you have a ban and a couple of... And we debated something very, very close to that with our 502nd 1v1 tournament, because there would be that strategy of, I'm just going to ban the assault mechs out all the time. I know that's what I'm going to do, and focus on being able to kill everything else.
Exactly. So I think at least, something Hearthstone-esque actually could be it could work well with the game systems. That's just what I wanted to say.
Although you got to be careful calling Hearthstone an esport. People get really worked up about that because it's too random to be an esport.
Really?
Yeah,
they do. And you know what? I love to watch tournaments in Hearthstone because guys come to the tournament with an idea of how they think the meta is going to be.
Yep.
And sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. And sometimes you see decks that you would never see because in this small case, they're built to beat one deck in a matchup. And they'll lose to anything else, but if they know they can get that deck, they're good.
Exactly. And that would be hilarious because someone just takes, like for the medium category, a whole bunch of streak boats out of nowhere when everything's like SRM Brawl, and they keep the distance, just, own the others. And that would be such a great esport moment that could possibly be created in MechWarrior Online that people could understand.
Yeah. John's phone call.
All right.
Okay. Okay, let's go wrap it up.
Figures it in the conversation that I started. My phone rings.
I think the last topic we sort of had listed was at least the new 2C heroes to come out, though I think other than me, almost everyone else here has not got one.
No, I didn't get one.
To cover what we have discussed earlier, though, of course, the 2C heroes are kind of subpar in terms of their hard points, typically. I mean, the Jenna 2C is kind of machine gunny and got some nice agility. I'm very glad they gave it agility, but that's about it.
Can I interject before we go too far into that?
Shoots, yes.
Because we didn't actually get a chance to mention MechCon. It's announced. Tickets are up if you guys want to buy it. It's going to be in Vancouver again.
For one day? Is that how long?
I think it's the...
No, 1 day.
Is it one day, all day?
That's like the only reason why.
No, it's 8th to 10th.
No,
it looks like it's 8th to 10th.
It's 3 days, really? Sure?
Yeah, well, at least the booking dates are available for the 8th to 10th. So maybe the event, they might have a press day or something weird before. Yeah, probably. Right, I'm actually, as I start saying about that, I'm looking for the fact. There it is. Ha.
I mean, I would have loved to go, but it's like the money-wise, it's like I would need like $1,000 for the ticket, hotel, car, and all that kind of stuff. So it's like...
I was tempted to go.
But like I used to go to conventions. I actually sell at conventions like through my store, but I go for the whole weekend and I spend $2,000 or $3,000 going doing that. But the problem is though, I love doing it because I spend the whole weekend there, not just one day going to Vancouver, and then fly back.
Exactly.
It's just I don't know. If I had the money, cool, I would go, but I don't know.
So it looks like the event itself is just the 9th. However, they've kind of come up with it. So if people want to come a little bit early, a day early, and kind of, because I'll tell you, if you have a day to spend, even though it's December in Vancouver, which December in Canada has these weird connotations, there probably won't be snow because it's pretty much on the Pacific coast.
Yeah.
But there could be. But either way, it is a gorgeous city. There's so much to do if you just have a day to spend.
Yeah, I went there for the World's Fair in like '86.
It's too far away
Nice.
for me.
Yeah.
Well, one day, Biter. One day.
Biter, we'll get you out there, man. We'll do a fundraising like event for you. You can come out here.
I can
yeah.
afford it myself. It's just a lot of works, and I could play MechWarrior safe and comfortable with my own couch right here.
Well,
I
so
mean,
that's
if BattleTech becomes a big thing, that game coming out, and MechCon, MechWarrior 5 comes out and all that stuff. Who knows? It's like they could totally make this work.
and that's one thing to say. There will be a playable copy of MechWarrior 5 at MechCon this year. So if you were on the fence,
That'd be
if
make or
you're on the
break for
fence,
PGI, man.
yeah. There's Catalyst is back with their tabletop area they had last year, which was really cool to look at.
Did you go last year?
No, I didn't get a
Okay.
chance. I'm going to, assuming I'm on the fence with funding, I have to pay some strata
Okay.
stuff that we have going on in my apartment. So, but if I can, as of right now, I'm just scraping the money together. So,
Yeah, no, that's my problem. Scraping enough money
Yeah.
to go
Yeah,
there.
same.
I would love to go, but because
Yeah,
the whole
absolutely.
thing is, though, I would love to meet the people that actually influenced. I'm literally half to 3/4 of my life with MechWarrior, starting from 1984, playing battle droids, and literally like to meet these people that I've read all their books, I played their games, I did all that stuff. To meet them and say thank you for influencing a lot of my life, like Eric Gygax.
oh yeah,
I met him once, and I thanked him because he influenced a lot of my life in gaming, basically playing Dungeons and Dragons and everything. So I love just meet like Mitch and like go and meet like what's his face? I forgot his name. Damn it. Oh God, I forgot his name.
people got to meet Jordan Wiseman,
Yeah, Jordan Weissman. Yeah, I'd love to meet him.
and that right there is like, Sorry, I just.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I was so in tune with what you were saying, Bob, that I had to talk. It's
just
my bad.
both of them, and his company FASA. I mean, I played Shadowrun, I played every FASA game known to man. Just what they influenced in me to be the person I am, and just how I grew up and everything. Just absolutely amazing. I would love to meet these people.
Yep. That was the best part about MechCon last year was they had a sit down, a developer talk with Wise, Randall Bills, and a couple of the guys who'd been around from the beginning, and of course Bullock was sitting there, but we can't blame him because he revived the thing that we all love. So
Yeah.
and he's in there, and you could see that he's enjoying the history of it. So that was pretty.
He wants to make good, so
And
we're not gonna,
He came across as a MechWarrior fan, which I had a lot of respect for. I didn't know that about him before. Like, you never really know. You assume that when someone gets involved with something like this, they're a fan. But
True.
he definitely came across as a BattleTech fan.
Have you guys seen the new Hunchback 2C Death Wish?
Not yet.
Yeah.
You have
I've
seen
seen
it
a
like on the
couple.
field? Okay. Because it looks like a freaking like laser boat, like crazy.
All right, so that's my customary derail for the day. We can go back to
that's
the
fine.
new
Yeah, back to the Hero 2C.
Okay, real quick.
Yes.
Because now it's an hour and a half.
Yes. So
Yeah,
I know personally, I didn't buy one biter. I think you're the only one here who has one.
Yep.
Yeah, I as imagined, I think at least the heroes, particularly like some of the assaults, of course, are the bigger ones are not so often bought, and this one has a heavy and an assault. and after the previous batch of heroes, they kind of really held back on the hard points. For the most part, at least, I got the onion because it has the mask.
Of course.
And I put together a silly build on that. It's really difficult to build for, but I just love going 100 kph in a big giant blob of armor.
Nice.
The thing, it's just I don't think that many people pick them up, and for fairly good reason.
Oh, well, I know like Aether picked up the Jenner 2C, and I'm pretty sure he's having fun with that one.
I'm sure of it. Yeah.
It's yeah. For this event, of course, he went around with the Annihilator,
Oh yeah,
doing all the big ballistics.
true.
True.
It's just the Jenner does have at least the mobility stats for it to actually run around and try and machine gun people, it's still a big giant target.
I love how it looks, though. It looks beautiful. The paint job.
I love
yeah.
the paint. I love
Yeah.
the paint jobs on both the Onion and the Jenna.
they did very good on these new. I mean, pretty much any hero package rendering, they done very well, I think.
Yeah. Though I think at least the biggest thing for most MechWarriors is this new event system, the convenience,
God, yeah.
and at least the fun, at least of, or the salt of all the ballistic mechs
Yeah.
coming out to play.
I'm happy with the new event system, and I think it's going to increase people playing. And it's like, okay, cool. This is something good. Another thing we forgot about is having the kill counters on top during all the matches.
Yep.
Helps out
Yes,
so
that's
much.
a huge thing.
Oh god, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I forgot about that. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Oh, and also, I think lastly, before we really end it, are the new war horns. We haven't even gotten to
Yeah.
them. Yeah, man, the new war horns.
So
So-
there's
Through my,
they've announced some
thing
for the
here.
tournament, and there's also that one for the new factions.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and bring them up here. So
Same here.
on my stream, I'm gonna go ahead and just play it up. So again, first off, you get these war horns if you pay money to the tournament supporter pack. And if you got the first war horn, which you already have, on October 17th, you get more. You get 3.
Yay.
A blue, red, and green. So I'm going to go ahead and just play the first one. Sorry for anyone who's online listening. My volume isn't level.
That's the second
but
one.
Here we go.
Actually, I like the second one, to tell you the truth. That's the first one.
So yeah, so kind of sounds like the last tournament war horn. You know how they had that globe. Remember that one?
Yeah.
That's close to that one.
Yeah.
And then you got green.
I have to like time it to when it switches so I can turn on your volume
No, I think Bob. I think he said that the green one was like Queen.
Yeah, Queen, we will rock
Sounds
you.
like Queen. And then you got red.
on the screen. Nice.
Yeah, so I'm pretty pumped to get those. You know, it's pretty cool.
Sorry if I talked over that last one, guys.
No, that's all right. I'm always glad to get more free swag.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you're a tournament supporter, at least with all these events and doubling, the stuff you're getting, it's maybe with future events as well. It really encourage people to support the tournaments.
Oh god, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm glad I
That's
actually
a
purchased
huge
that
thing.
$10.
Yeah.
We
$10
in the
is not
last
much.
year, we've seen a bunch of that stuff come out. With Blizzard started doing it. They have their battle chests or whatever they call them, and it's they just feed directly into the BlizzCon prize pools and WCS or HCT prize pools and whatever they call it for Overwatch. I'm bad. I love Blizzard, but I can't stand Overwatch. I tried.
I haven't played it yet, so I have no
Yeah.
opinion on that. So, but I think the tournament pack is always kind of nice because it does allow you to get a C-bill boost, correct, whenever you do it, and it gives you free shit. So, yeah.
Cool deal.
It's a global boost, which is nice. It means any match you
10%
play,
boost,
a little bit.
I was very happy about that.
It's
Okay,
cool.
so
Good.
everybody, this is it or what?
I think
Yeah.
so.
I think
There
so.
wasn't any questions popping up, were there? I mean, we won't
not
spend
really.
a bunch of time on it. But
I
I've
know
been
we have a
keeping my
person
eye.
in my chat, Mick824, saying, "Hey, do you know what would be funny if? Wait, what's they saying? You know what would be funny if they implement into MWO? I don't know. Oh, and then beneath it says the targeting system from MechWarrior 3 for clans.
Okay.
I think
Hold on,
they need to implement the slowpoke, or like in competitive, if it's a draw, they both have to fight in slowpokes.
Okay, as I was saying about that tournament, about those mechs with the wheels, Robert Norris says heavy gear. That is what MechWarrior Online
Heavy
needs. Yes,
gear.
that is what they need. Because they had Slayer 7 type matches with heavy gear. That is what they need.
Yeah, that I
Very
agree.
good. Yeah.
They need that.
Yeah, heavy gear was it. Thank you, Norris. I really do appreciate that. It was on the tip of my tongue. And I had the role-playing game. I just forgot what it was.
All right, but yeah, I think Bob, that might be it.
Cool
So
deal. Okay.